Hey nerds, this is a review of Season 3, Episode 3 of Fear the Walking Dead. I'm going to start off with Strand's storyline because we spend less time on Strand and he is separate from the rest of the party, so I think it makes more sense to look at what's up with him. Again, my predictions have been wrong in that I thought Strand, at the very least, I thought Strand was going to have some sort of good luck. Actually, I may not have made any predictions at all about what Strand would go through exactly. But this new location, the dam, is interesting. And the relationship between the guy who runs the place and, how important water is reminded me of Mad Max Fury Road. It was like water is a currency here, which made me think of the first episode of this season when the military men were killing people to figure out how fast they turned and whatnot. And they were actually placing money bets on it, even though there's nothing they can do with that money. I mean, unless you need to light a fire. I thought Strand's relationship with this guy would be positive, and it is very good to feel centered on a character, and then their surprise is your surprise, because he's going in fully expecting not to be shot in the face. He doesn't get shot in the face, but he almost gets super murdered. Watching a guy get thrown off of a high ledge and then eaten alive is not it's definitely not the worst Walking Dead's ever done. But imagining that fall and all that was not nice in terms of a viewer. Very positive in the gore category though, and is on the less is more thing. More screaming. I really thought Strand was going to become Hand of the King in this case, but it seems that his storyline is probably him winning back. He never had the trust of this guy. Winning the trust of this new character who made a very similar entrance to Negan. I shouldn't say the same series entrance as Negan, but him walking into frame above Strand on the ground being held at gunpoint, it seems a lot like Carl being held at gunpoint in Negan's compound. Just saying. And the show loves paralleling moments and, making you think about moments. So I'm not thinking that they're trying to say this person is just like Negan. If anything, this guy seems really honorable, and Strand is kind of a crook. Or was kind of a crook. I don't know. New world, right? He doesn't trust Strand in the way he shouldn't. But, we trust Strand. We trust Strand a lot. At least I do. I like Strand. The way the episode ended, showing off Daniel being alive, been something a lot of people have been waiting to see. I did not imagine that it would be Strand that would run into him first. I am not ruling out the possibility of that person being just a hallucination, but that would really, really, really suck. So I'm gonna go with what I'm hoping is best case scenario, that Daniel's alive. Although his purpose, I can't really see it. If Strand's gonna, go up the ranks of this society. Although it seems like things are pitted against him, considering the guy who runs the place hates his guts. I also want to mention awesome having gay characters in shows like The Walking Dead finally that are, I shouldn't say finally, because, we've had gay characters in main series, but I don't know. There's something different about Strand that Tara doesn't have, I mean, not in terms of fan fan likingness, but Strand's strongest relationship was with a guy who is now dead, and there's not a lot of gay characters on Walking Dead who seem to be repelled in the same way the straight characters are, if that makes any sense, by their loved ones. Although recent season and Tara and whatnot is great, she still doesn't have a romance right now, and the whole all her problems relationship wise are pretty narrow, whereas Strand is not having relationship problems, and I don't see him getting in a relationship anytime soon during the apocalypse. However, I think that his love for his dead partner is very strong. You can really feel it in his words. And considering he was this close to killing himself with the guy so they could die together, is really powerful. And it is very powerful and it's encapsulate a moment because now, fast forward to now, he's about to get thrown off to his death. And, you know, he doesn't try to weasel out of the situation at that point. If I'm not mistaken, he had already asked to be, you know, used as useful. But the whole, did, you know, your lover believe your lies? And it's like, I did love him. Like, it hit me right in the feels. Like, right in the feels. I feel Walking Dead is able to be a little bit more cavalier with killing characters. I'm glad they didn't kill Strand. But they kill a lot of characters, and they love introducing characters and killing them, kind of like regular Walking Dead. But it is starting to get not necessarily predictable which new characters will automatically die the first episode they introduce, but at the very least, it leaves every character that's not a main character on uneven ground. And with the death of Travis, I don't know what else to expect, but I don't expect Madison and her children to die right now. I don't expect Strand to die right now. And they just introduced Daniel, so unless he dies like mid-season, I don't expect him to die. And we still haven't seen his daughter again this season, so I'm hoping next season might show her, considering now that all the characters have been kind of parted, we have an opportunity to see different parts of America, because we have Mexico, then we have kind of closer to the border, and then we have America. And I don't know deserty America, how that's gonna go. But I'm excited, and moving into the whole trying to make things work arc with Madison and the kids. I think that it's gonna be very painful to see Sienna die, because I think she's totally gonna die. The fact that she's the only one out of the loop of the family, that she's being led to believe that they're gonna get out of there as soon as she's well, which reminds me a little bit of Carol, but obviously weaker than Carol because she doesn't take leaving into her own hands, plus she wants to leave with Nick. I don't think she's gonna last long, but I do think that certain connections are gonna have to be made before she kicks the bucket, so that there are human beings in the camp that they want to live and protect. Now, Trevor and his brother are an interesting drama, and I really like their relationship. It's like, at first it seemed like just evil brother, good brother, and then it seems like it's like very, very troubled brother, trying to be a savior brother. And I think of in main series when the governor had his little story arc, and he ran into a camp, and the camp could have after their main leader died, could have been led by a very good guy who had a very evil brother, and the evil brother, you've seen it. But seeing the difference between that and this, where these guys are constantly having the chance to not necessarily make amends because things keep happening, because it's Walking Dead, but to see that there is real love there, and the end of that conversation of, are you even gonna try? I always try, was a little bit heartbreaking to me, and I'm starting to feel for Eye Patch, which means that he's also probably gonna die soon. Although I'm hoping it's his brother, since people who get maimed in Walking Dead, people who get damaged in Walking Dead, I like to see how they progress, not because they have necessarily because they have physical limitations, but how the physical limitations affects their view of the apocalypse and their view of other people. Although the fact that Madison didn't pop his whole eye out is surprising, and I think it is supposed to be it's supposed to represent him not being fully changed perspective-wise, because usually in fiction, losing an eye is very, very about a person changing how they view the world or life or a person. He almost lost his eye. As you can see, it's healing. And I'm starting to think Madison was an assassin, considering she did that. It made me even more impressed with that scene. Just thinking of, if she could do that in a way that allowed him to heal and not lose his eye, then I wonder how easy it would have been to murder him. Obviously, she mentioned scooping out his brains in that moment, but when I was watching that first episode of season 3, I was thinking about her just getting shot up before she could even do anything. Although, of course, how dangerous that was, obviously. But I feel like, given the knowledge that she did such a precise job at threatening his life, but keeping his eye intact, that I have a lot more respect for her skills. Which it seems like maybe the apocalypse has been coaxing out of her, as she's been trying to suppress them, because she did say she killed someone before the apocalypse, but I'm starting to think it was before she met Travis, and she didn't even get to tell Travis about it, which is really sad. R.I.P. Trav. I think using him as emotional leverage at the beginning of the episode to say, hey, we lost loved ones too, we're the same. It was very, very, very smart. And I do think Madison's going to try her best to be a good person, quote unquote, and try to win the people over in a kind of a Glennish way. But unlike Glenn, I think she doesn't have as much patience, and going out on a revenge run is just what she needs to allow some steam in terms of the Travis thing, because obviously she's going because of that, not necessarily because she really is behind the whole going out and looking for trouble. But she does want answers. If there's someone in the vicinity that's going to shoot at a military helicopter on site, and she kind of is now in cahoots with military people, it's probably within their best interest to figure that shit out. But also it looked like one of those winning trust plans. It reminded me of very Rick-like moments of proving himself by going out in dangerous situations and coming back smelling like roses. And I think that is kind of a cool motif in Walking Dead. The person who comes back, the survivor. I don't know if Madison's going to continue being that person. I think Nick is that person for Fear the Walking Dead. Not that much to talk about left, but I will mention that I've been thinking about the motif of this season, what's been on the posters, the tagline or whatever, which is Fear What You Become. fear what you become, fear The Walking Dead, obviously. It's catchy, it seems sinister, that sort of thing. But I always have to look at the title Fear the Walking Dead in light of Rick's speech about we are the Walking Dead, like the survivors, because of course we're infected and all that other thing. But we're also dead until we can earn our life back, I guess. Fearing what you become, fearing being a survivor and not knowing whether or not you get to live I guess, a beautiful or Macu life, right? And of course, Nick is on all these posters with his blood makeup on. It makes him look very, very sinister, almost like a villain. And I'm wondering if, oh no, his loved one's death will trigger him to be more like, I keep calling him Eye Patch. He doesn't have an eye patch anymore. He's fine. I'm wondering just how close these characters will become, considering they're ruffling the grass and Nick almost murdering him shows that Nick is at least as cutthroat as this guy. And the fact that they might become friends based off of that excursion during the hunt, which really made me think of Game of Thrones, by the way, because of spoilers for first season Game of Thrones. The king at the beginning of the series gets murdered on a hunt. Murdered. Supposedly an accident. Or framed to look like an accident, which is like super, super easy to do in situations where there's no telephones or really recording equipment to show that that foul play was involved. I'm talking about Game of Thrones or Walking Dead at this point. Obviously, we can't do forensics anymore. Although it'd be interesting if someone had forensics kit. Wonder how that would play out. And it is early enough in the apocalypse for things to still be around and people to do like low level kinds of tests, just things that people would do on site to check things. Nick's sister definitely feels like the funnest character right now in terms of not necessarily what she's going through, because she was in a very Carl at Alexandria moment, kind of hanging out with the kids and figuring out what they're all about. It was actually one of my favorite scenes, watching her do drugs with the kids and telling them about how easy it was to take a life, which of course scares her. And I like that she respects the fragility of life, as far as I can tell. It does make me feel good. Sorry, it does not make me feel good that, through that she kind of automatically trusts them. Although, of course, I believe that she'll put her family before anyone else, considering the relationships that she's almost had ruin her life. Sorry, end her life. You can't even really ruin someone's life in the apocalypse anymore. You can pretty much just end it. I guess it's not a fair statement to say, because if you still have people you love, then if someone takes that away from you, then your life is ruined. So if you don't kill yourself at that point, then your life is ruined. I'm wondering who she'll kill next, because I feel like she's prepared for it. Like, she's kind of gritting her teeth in a way. And she's much more prepared than anyone her age in the camp, it seems. Especially considering all these kids were very surprised by her. The head in the cage, a la Governor, was very disturbing. The fact that it was in a bird cage made me think of Resident Evil 7, which was pretty cool. I'm pretty sure they were making a direct reference, considering Resident Evil 7 is like horror-wise and got a lot of attention. So I'm sure Robert Kirkman made note of that. I also want to mention the similarities between their church service, their Bible study, and the kind of school that Carol had, where it wasn't actually, reading and writing, it was stabbing and shooting without people knowing. Now, the difference between this situation and that situation is that in Carol's case, she was keeping it a secret from Rick. In this case, it seems like the leader of the community they're in fully knows what's happening. Madison doesn't yet, by the end of this episode, I don't think, but he totally seems kind of not snarky, but he seems very, very pleased with himself. That Nick went on a hunt with his son, and very pleased that Madison's daughter, I can't remember her name, man, I need to just literally have a list on a piece of paper right behind my camera. But he kind of it was kind of like he knows more about what's happening with her kids than she does, although she's still on guard, which is very interesting considering how many parallels this place has to Alexandria, especially with the whole video thing. Obviously, they turned it on its head, considering in Alexandria it was filming the new people coming in, getting their perspective, kind of seeing what type of people they were, and being able to look back on it. Remember, I mentioned that whole in a world without being able to keep records and stuff, or I should say electronic records, and having access to bountiful human technology. Whereas in Fear the Walking Dead, in this situation, we have just videos of this place and how we tried to set it up, and how the guy was a survivalist, and actually shows, hey, outtakes, he's actually an abuser, an alcoholic. It was helpful. It seemed helpful to Madison that she had a secret tidbit about him, but he was totally open about it. It seems like he was trying to build trust. And I think that when he dies, he will die a good character. Even though right now he seems on the fence and we don't know if he's technically good or bad, but I think he'll die a good character, and kind of the war for the control between the two brothers, and possibly with Madison and her group, will be very affected in how he died. If he dies in violence, or if he just kind of kicks the bucket, or if he just randomly gets bitten. I think that's going to set the tone for how they're going to treat each other. Obviously, internal conflict is Fear the Walking Dead's favorite seasoning, so I don't expect things to go off well. But in the meantime, I'm pretty sure Madison will come back from this revenge run smelling like roses. Sorry, I rambled a bit, nerds. It is pretty early in the day. I woke up super early to make this. So I can jump back in and watch another episode, make another video before my day really gets started, because AX is almost here and I won't have any amount of time to watch Walking Dead when it does. And you will get so many videos, I promise. So I'm going to try to hurry that up. So you nerds have a great day, night, whenever you're watching this. And I hope if you're going to any conventions that you have a lot of fun.